Why do we have tides on this flat Earth? How do you flood a ball? Let me ask you that. How do you flood a freaking ball? I'll tell you how tides work real quick. Salt water is highly magnetic. When the sun and the moon circle above, this is what creates the tides. Everything is very simple. Magnetic. You can't flood a ball. Show me through science flooding a ball. You can't demonstrate it.
Tao, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Magnetic. Magnet. Oh, just make sure there's a lot in there, you know? You really want to make sure it's salty water because you want to make sure it's as magnetic as possible, you know? Get as much of that, you know, coarse salt in there as you can, you know? That's right. We'll just make sure we stir it up. Oh, yeah. You want to make sure she's good and in there. Oh, yeah. Salty water. And... I don't understand it. RussianVids said, "What the f? God damn it!
Can't believe you.
I don't know, Doctor. Looking back, I think it may have been real butter.
Your husband murdered 3 children.
All right, so the other day, Fight and I took on 33 UC or UCIP. I can't remember. Let's just say I'm still recovering from the impact of dealing with that much stupid and what it brings to your brain. I don't really have much to say about UC because frankly I found him just to be a tiny little parrot. He didn't bring much to the table other than constant dribble of slurred nonsense emanating from that orifice he cannot seem to shut.
Going around, they never say, yeah,
right.
You're going around the curve, let's put the nose down.
So here's the thing. Wait, stop. 33, shut up. 33, shut up. 33, shut up. 33, stop. Stop. I'm talking to RussianVids. Stop. Dude, you need to learn when to shut up. You're like a child. Be quiet. Shush. All right? Stop talking. Stop. Stop talking. Take a deep breath and just stop talking.
Is your internet going to die again?
Stop. Good, well done. Stop. Quiet. Good boy. Well done.
Unbelievable.
Right, so now when airplanes are flying, they don't need to point the nose.
But I really want to cover a few things about RussianVids and his total lack of honesty in the search for the ultimate gotcha moment. I thought maybe a few things could be covered here, so let's get started.
Answer the question. How does that...
videos that he works to make and help people see.
You could actually hear his mind overloading, like if and or what, Ben, how, to, from.
Okay, you're not worming out of this, dude. Answer the actual question. How does it demonstrate that there isn't worth curve? All right, without talking about 33 or anything, talk about the solid facts there. No, just talk about the solid facts in what we saw there.
The numbers are there.
Let me get this.
Dude, you are the worm. I'm sorry, that nickname's not mine anymore. That's on you right now, worm.
Hold on, guys.
Hold on, guys. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, hold on, guys. First off, just like you
said... We're going to talk... Wait, Russian, real quick. I'm going to let you go, but I just want the worm to think about this. I want him to
You're the worm. Don't talk to yourself like that.
I'm going to let you finish, Taylor, but first. Really happy for you. I'm going to let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
That was a lot of fun. From there, we went on to talk about duality in media and how it's all just part of, like, giving us tidbits of information because, you know, if you had the biggest secret in the world, that's what you want to do, right? You want to leave little breadcrumbs for people to find because that's how you keep a secret. So if you followed your wife's clothing to your bedroom and found her screwing your neighbor, would you think that that was like a trail that they left for you to find them? It was all part of the plan. They left the trail for me to follow her socks and underwear all the way to the bedroom. And what was that noise? Oh, hitting the top.
About the relation with science and science fiction. And his answer was, they're both the same. And in this convention here, he's asked about black holes. And he goes, how can we trust what they're saying about black holes being real? It's all theoretical. It's all science fiction. Now, look behind him. Yeah, now look behind him. What do you see behind him?
Right, what I see behind him is the airlock hatch on, which appears to be from an NCC 1701B. I'm not sure.
The protector got super accelerated coming out of the black hole, and it's like nailed the atmosphere at Mark 15, which you guys know is pretty unstable, obviously. So we're gonna help Laredo guide it on the Vox Ultra frequency carrier and use Roman candles for visual confirmation.
All right, dinner's at 7.
You nerd.
Well, hold on, Craig. What I'm getting at is look at the door behind him as he's speaking. This is the concept of duality, where they're gonna give us truth in movies, music, and lie to us in the news and science. So he's playing a role on the world stage. Hold on, Craig. I want to just get this up real quick. Look behind him.
Let him finish, Worm.
Yeah. Look at the door behind him. You see that 3 on the door? Then you see the 3 slashes coded for 33. And the
you know what? Oh, you know what I don't see? Hold on. 3 is 1 3, and I don't see a second set of 3 slashes. So that is just 3, my friend. And then even in Roman numerals,
that's 33. So
for you just to generate.
In what way is that 33? There is just 3 slashes.
There's 3. That's never been 33. That is 3. If you were ticking on the wall how many years you were in prison, that is a 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's 33 isn't there.
I've been tweeting at 33UC all week since then, and he just won't get back to me about what number this is. It's gotten to a point where I decided to throw a little educational material together, kind of at RussianVids and 33UC's level, just to make sure they can count, because I guess if we're going to be talking about numbers, then we should really make sure that everybody can use the numbers appropriately.
That's 1 bet. 2 bets. 3 fabulous flyers.
3 by 3, now count with me. I said 3, 6, 9, sing it slow this time. We'll skip 2 numbers in between. Let's count up to 30. We'll start with 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30.
I want to explain this in detail. Okay, this is in Houston, Texas, okay? This is for the Houston Astros. Before it was the Houston Astros, they were the Colt 45s.
Colt 45 and 2 zigzags, baby, that's all we need.
The thing it is, it's fantasy.
Reality from Fantasyland.
Okay,
you guys are looking at, but you're pointing at Fantasyland. Yeah, but you're pointing at fantasy, and
you say, look, there's curve, and then I say, so you mean that's the size of the Earth if we follow that curve?
And then you bring out a fucking movie clip, because apparently that's heavy.
You know what I said? Hold on, guys. You don't understand duality. They give us truth in movies. They give us truth in movies. They also, within all the programming, they give us Easter eggs of truth.
That's because you have to make things slightly believable. Right? Yeah. If you're talking about the plot of a TV show, what are you going to be more connected to? Something that is completely out of the realms of possibility, or something that might have a possibility of you being able to be part of it? What are you going to want to watch more?
That's why actually some of the most successful ones.
You think Bigfoot's
Dude, stop talking to yourself.
You think Bigfoot's real, Worm?
I've never seen Bigfoot, so I wouldn't know. But I don't think that there is some kind of Yeti walking around now.
There's so far not been any evidence of it.
Yeah.
So you guys, so you leave the possibility that there's a Bigfoot out there. That's what you two are going to tell me.
There's never been any. Well, if they found evidence that was actually evidence, then I would believe them. But they haven't yet. Anyway, all the tough, no.
Roaming all corners of the all parts of the globe.
33, stop. 33, stop. Your argument here is that I've never seen Bigfoot, therefore it might be real.
Well, I'm trying to say
I'm not saying that I think Bigfoot's real. I'm just saying that there's never been any evidence that Bigfoot is real, and I've never seen any evidence that it isn't real. Apart from the fact there's no evidence that it is real. So, I can't give you an answer of is Bigfoot real, because I really don't know. There's no evidence about it.
Hey, listen, if somebody shot one tomorrow, 33, dragged it in, and they cut it open, it was all over the news, all of a sudden they were like, look at this, there's Bigfoot. And then we found the den of fucking stuff. Guess what? Bigfoot, I guess, exists.
It doesn't happen.
Well, exactly, which is why I don't believe in Bigfoot, you dumb f***er. Because, I mean, I never said I believe in Bigfoot.
You guys think that there's satellites roaming around everywhere, and that they have a beat on the entire world, and that's why we have all these phenomenal pictures. And then in the same,
they don't just take pictures, though. They do
in the same breath, you say, yeah, there might be a Bigfoot out there that he's so elusive, we can't find him, even with all these satellites roaming about.
They found little pygmy people that lived in fucking caves only 2 years ago. They didn't know existed either. Well, so I mean, they find out new stuff all the time. Look it up, man. Go look it up.
A flowstone is a common occurrence in caves, where mineral-rich water flowing over the ground hardens into stone. All of Berger's previous digging was above a flowstone that dated back about 2,900 years. Today, he's returned and is going to break through the flowstone to see if there are bones underneath. He finds no shortage of bone underneath the flowstone, including a tooth and a piece of cranium. It might also have some implications for another set of bones found in the region, those of a tiny human that researchers dubbed the Hobbit. Its scientific name is Homo floresiensis, and the researchers, including Dean Falk from the University of Florida, say it is so unique, it should be a separate species of human.
You know, at first when they started talking about the tiny brain size, I started thinking about 33 UC, but alas. I guess they were talking about the old hominid, but, what do you do? Moving forward!
Can I assume that both of you think that the firmament is a thing, right?
Sure.
Okay,
yes.
So that means we're in an enclosed system, right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
So can you please explain to me why there's a pressure gradient in the atmosphere?
Explain.
Of course, just like the bottom of the ocean, it's going to be, more, intense, stronger as you get down to the bottom of the ocean. Basically, crushed bones. You get down enough, and as you get closer, hold on, Craig. As you get close to the surface, the pressure is less. Just like when you're at the very top of the surface of water, and then you go up in the atmosphere.
Brilliant, right? That helps me with my question for you because.
Fight is going to go on to discuss the typical obvious fact that because we have a pressure gradient, we cannot possibly be in a closed system because the system would have uniform pressure. But that's not the direction I'm going to go. You see, RussianVids, just like the atmosphere above us with a gradient, the oceans also have a gradient. Congratulations, everyone give a round of applause for RussianVids and his little Dobby.
Dobby wonders where to begin.
Why don't you sit down?
Sit down. Sit down.
Dobby, shush, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you or anything.
Offend Dobby? Dobby has heard of your greatness, sir, but never has he been asked to sit down.
The plumbing in a house, for instance, runs at 60 psig. Now, if you have an open system where it can expand and retract above itself, you get a natural gradient. This is an open system. If you now put a cap on that and remove all of the air, you can begin to pressurize that water. And what do you know? Once it's closed, it will exert equal force in all directions. So your example is shit, RV. Get a new one. It proves the globe.
I got another one for you, Craig. I want you to share this one, please, if you can.
Yeah, sure. This is fun.
Thanks, Craig. I'm enjoying this. This has been a slaughterhouse.
Yeah, and I think the audience, can see which side has been slaughtered.
Yeah, but I'm thoroughly enjoying this one. This one's fantastic. 33, awesome work, pal.
How can Dobby ever repay him?
Supposed orbit in this heliocentric model where you have the ball Earth and the sun, for example, pointing towards the night sky, say in winter. Now it makes its orbit all the way around the sun. Say in summer, look at the night sky in a totally different direction. So how do we see the same stars night after night? When obviously,
dude, you see different stars throughout the year. You realize that, right?
The constellations have remained the same for year after year.
But what stars you can see change throughout the year? there's a
Russian, you got to
what's
keep
going
it
on in the
basic.
sky.
He's going to try and worm out of things like this. This is what I mean.
I didn't.
Well, this is 6 for 6, 33. We got him 6 for 6 here. Stop him again.
Oh, wait, 6, 33.
The second you put him in a corner, he tries to worm out.
So
it's unreal. It really is.
The sky. You see different like stars in the night sky throughout the year. I mean, I don't know what your point is.
What I'm getting at, Craig, is this. Please comprehend and understand what I'm telling you. You should see a completely different set of stars. All of them should be different, not one. All.
No, not all of them, because the Earth's a sphere, so you're still going to see lots of stuff.
Craig,
Craig, are you paying attention?
Craig, are you freaking kidding me? Are you out of your freaking mind? Do you understand the ball is supposed to be on the other side of the sun?
That's what I'm trying to say to you. The constellations change.
Direction.
The constellations change during the year. This is what I'm trying to say to you. Yes, you're right. You see different stars because you're pointing in different directions. I'm not disagreeing with you. That actually happens.
Big Dipper. We see the same freaking Polaris.
People above the equator in the northern hemisphere see different constellations than people below the equator in the southern hemisphere. Hey there, home planet. Here's the sun over here, and all those twinkly things are stars and constellations. You'll notice the right side of the Earth is darker than the left side. That's because it's nighttime on that side of the Earth. So people on this side of the planet have a great view of the stars and constellations over here. As the Earth rotates on its axis, whichever part of the planet is facing away from the sun has a great view of these stars during this season. Let's say it's winter if you're in the northern hemisphere and summer if you're in the southern hemisphere.
It is in orbit as well, right? You realize that Jupiter is orbiting the star as well, so you're going to be able to see it at different times of the year and stuff. Like,
and sometimes not other times of the year.
Yeah, your points here are you see things, but you shouldn't. But
but I'm curious as to what RussianVids. I am curious as to what he has to say about me being able to zoom in and see Jupiter, though, with my own, like, look at it, go, that's Jupiter, and zoom in.
Yeah. I'll answer that, Beaver. I appreciate the question. I want to answer this. You know the difference when you look through an analog telescope compared to digital, right?
Well, because my telescope isn't digital, so okay, yes, absolutely. Mine bounces it off the mirror, and mine bounces it off the mirror, and mine bounces it off the mirror, and I use. Well, digital's taking an image. Digital is going to take an image, compile it, turn it into a thing, feed it to a computer or a display screen, something like that. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about lenses, mirrors, and eyepieces. Lenses, mirrors, and eyepieces. Lenses, mirrors, and eyepieces. Lenses, mirrors, and eyepieces.
Now watch these two dumpster fires completely ignore the answer. RussianVids, you're a bitch. You know I answered you.
That's how I've done it. Okay.
You're not answering my question, Beaver. Beaver, you're not answering my question. I asked you if you know the difference between an analog telescope and a digital telescope.
Well, I just said the
difference. If you don't know, just say you don't know.
Well, okay, so then inform me what your difference you're talking about then.
Okay, an analog is a very basic telescope. When you look through an analog telescope, back in the early days, all you see is a blur in the sky. You don't see any definition.
Okay, but hold on. An analog telescope is just a lens and a mirror and then another lens, dude. It's a lens with a refractory mirror.
Why didn't you answer when I first asked you then? Why are you answering after I gave you the answer? Why are you answering after I give you the answer? Why don't you ask? Why don't you answer after I asked you twice? You didn't answer it. Now you're answering it.
Gavel, stop, everyone stop.
Am I in a different fucking world? Did I not just say that fucking to him? What planet is he?
I asked you the freaking question. You dismissed it twice.
I said it.
Who's feeding you information now?
Okay, so you all saw that, right? I've dismissed it twice, apparently, now. I didn't answer it right away. I didn't at all say mirrors as lenses and eyepieces, and I explained to him digital, and, you know, he's got a lot of cum built up in those ears. It's really crusty. He's been picking at it a lot, and it just, he's going to have to get a doctor to look at it. That cum has been built up for a while, and there's been a lot of men in there.
It's like I never answered your question about telescopes, right? Which that
I asked you 3 times before someone fed you the answers, it seems like.
All right, Russian douchebags, let's take a look at this again and see if we can't figure out how many times you asked me before I answered.
Yeah. I'll answer that, Beaver. I appreciate the question. I want to answer this. You know the difference when you look through an analog telescope compared to digital, right?
Well, because my telescope isn't digital, so okay, yes, absolutely. Mine bounces it off the mirror, and I use. Well, digital's taking an image. Digital is going to take an image, compile it, turn it into a thing, feed it to a computer or a display screen, something like that. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about lenses, mirrors, and eyepieces. How I've done it. Okay.
Because you're not answering my question. Beaver, you're not answering my question. I asked you if you know the difference between an analog telescope and a digital telescope.
Well, I just said the
If you don't know, just say you don't know.
Well, okay,
What?
so then inform me what your difference you're talking about then.
Okay, an analog is a very basic telescope. When you look through an analog telescope, back in the early days, all you see is a blur in the sky. You don't see any definition.
Okay, but hold on. An analog telescope is just a lens and a mirror and then another lens, dude. It's a lens with a refractory mirror.
Why didn't you answer that when I first asked you then? Why are you answering after I gave you the answer?
God damn it, RussianVids, do we have to do this? Turn it back on. Yes, apparently he can't count.
Let's count the bets and find out. That's one bet.
How that video demonstrated there's a curve. Please. I'm waiting for this. This is going to be good.
Pull up your pants, Craig.
Yeah, I've got a big ass now. Right.
Craig's getting out paperwork to explain to the viewers how this works.
Can you see this?
Right. So it yourself?
Well, I drew this myself. So
you're digging up files from your handlers.
So if you look at this, right, this one demonstrates that the. Let me actually put myself up there.
Worm.
Stop talking if you want me to demonstrate it. Where
I see
is
Magoon in the chat. Magoon didn't know the radius, diameter, or circumference of the ball. What an idiot. But go ahead, Craig.
I would love to have Magoon come on live.
So
he was fun.
Look at this one, okay? Now from the top, light is emitted, all right, in both directions, and it has to travel.
What are we looking at?
I'm explaining. This is the internal workings of the fiber optic gyroscope. Now just listen and stop interrupting, okay? So light is emitted from the top, okay, and it travels down these paths, and then meets up again in the middle, all right? And if the frequency of the light is all good, then you don't get an interference pattern. However, in this one, we're going to assume that the whole thing is moving this way, all right, with the rotation of the Earth. And that would mean that the light traveling along this way would actually do it quicker because the movement is changing the amount of time that it takes. And what that means is when the light gets to the bottom, there's an interference pattern based on the fact that one light has traveled, it's done the distance quicker because of the rotation. So the fiber optic gyroscope uses this interference pattern to measure rotation, okay? And that's exactly what it did. It measured the fact that the Earth was moving at 15 degrees per hour and showed the interference pattern that explained that. That's the function of a fiber optic gyroscope.
That's your proof? That's your proof form?
That is evidence that the Earth is rotating. Now, again, let me ask you this question once more. How does that not demonstrate that the Earth is rotating?
You know what? I really don't, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how to answer that because
so you don't know.
Even know
cool.
what you're
no worries.
Explain by showing me a triangle on a piece of paper. Honestly, I'm just going to be honest. I don't know what to say to someone who provides a demonstration like that, other than, he's just talking, worm.
33, let me jump in for a second, 33.
I find it extremely hilarious that 33 seems to think that this is what we all see. When in reality, it's more like this.
Basically, they maneuver, and this is what creates these obstacles that you see twice, like a clock, like the hour hand and the minute hand on a clock. They pass each other, just the same thing. But again, the sun and the moon, they shift. We all know the distance of the sun and the moon, it fluctuates. Okay, this is not disputed. Same thing, and as they circle above, that's what happens. Just like the reason you get 24-hour daylights in the so-called North Pole. Explain that on a ball Earth. Explain that on a ball, you can't.
Easy, the axis of rotation. But all right, let me.
Worm, can you put up my email from yesterday?
Stop talking to yourself.
Yeah. Hold on
Worm,
here.
I want you to pull up the email from yesterday and pull up Jim Carrey laughing at the moon mission.
Hold on, guys.
Saying what a joke it is.
How many other rocket water balls exist in this vast universe besides so-called Ball Earth? How many other water balls are there spinning?
Kepler has found, I think, was it over 2,000 Earth-like planets that are, and when they say Earth-like, they're not saying, oh, there's definitely liquid water there. They're talking about the Goldilocks zone. They're talking about planets.
Yes.
We're talking, hold on.
He literally just told you about the evidence from the Kepler satellites.
Russian, you have to be careful the way you ask that because in Fantasyland, anything goes with these people.
So to talk a little bit about Kepler, we're going to take a little look at Scott Manley here, and maybe Russian-Vids and 33 can learn something.
Observing over 100,000 stars, and these are main sequence stars. They don't bother with the red giants and things like that. They're actually looking for the compact main sequence stars because those are better to observe transits. That's how this thing works. It looks for transits, planets passing in front of the stellar disk. Now, in many cases, most of those stars, the planets, if they are there, will not be passing across the plane of the star because they'll have the planes not aligned. So what they're doing is they were looking at hundreds of thousands of objects in the hope that some of them would have planets that were lined up just right so that we would see their shadow passing in front of the disk. Now, this meant quite a high degree of accuracy. If you figure it out, the Earth passing in front of the Sun at stellar distances, it would block about 84 parts per million, right? So 84 parts per million is kind of the threshold to detect an Earth-sized planet passing in front of a main sequence G-type star.
Okay, that's going to be it for me tonight. I've been working on this really late, 2 nights in a row. It is straight up literally 2:40 in the morning, and I think I was just sleeping in my chair. I feel kind of groggy. I was about to finish it anyways, so this works out. Anyways, thanks for joining me tonight, checking us out. If you haven't seen, Ragical's doing kind of an attack on it as well. So we'll see what Ragical's got going on, whether he beat me with his release or he's coming out after. I don't know, because I don't have a time machine. See you later.